my goodness gracious. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Tattoo Homewreckers, a podcast where we talk about tattoos, life, and everything in between. My name is Callista, and this is
Lubot 9000.
Lubot 9000. And today,
we're joined by Eeyore again.
We're joined by Eeyore. We're on the couch yet again because guess what? We are still tired. We've had a week.
Yeah.
It's been busy. But with that being said, I just recently had a therapy session where I want to talk about envy and jealousy. So I think that's what we're going to talk about today. Jealousy versus envy. A lot of people think that they're the same thing, but I had to pull this definition up.
Okay, perfect.
Online.
I was about to do that. I was like, do you know the definition between envy and jealousy?
I absolutely do. So the difference between envy and jealousy, if you don't know, the first thing that comes up is envy is the painful feeling of wanting what somebody else has, like their attributes or their possessions. And if you're jealous, that means you are feeling threatened or protective of losing something that you have.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if that's true, whatever. I'm just going to go off of the internet saying I think that they're still they still, for the most part, go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. For me, at least. I feel like it's hard to feel envy without feeling a little bit of jealousy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, because I feel like for me, when I start to get envious, a lot of it still comes back to like self-worth. So it's like fear of losing like my worth almost. Although I know that like that's not true. Mm-hmm. I just figured it would be important to talk about jealousy and envy because for the most part, a lot of people think it's taboo. A lot of people think that like, oh, you shouldn't be jealous, period. Oh, yeah. And I want to clear that up. And I mean, you listen to Esther Perel a lot, yep. And she talks about jealousy. And yep. I would love for you to talk about her approach on jealousy.
Just that it's very Western culture to perceive jealousy as a bad thing, mm-hmm. Whereas jealousy is a way in which you can like revitalize a relationship. Mm-hmm. So having those moments where you look at someone and see them talking, say to like your friend, I won't mm-hmm. even use like romantic, can allow you to become like invigorated in that relationship by looking and being like, wow, look at how amazing and special this person is, mm-hmm. that like other people want to be around that.
Totally. So
it's this whole like for romantic relationships, it can spark that like desire. But I like to think of it as that, like, also that desire for your friend, mm-hmm. in that sense of, like, yeah, when I see, like, even with you and Caboose, when you're laughing sometimes, like, and I'm upstairs, I'm like, what the fuck is so funny?
Oh, yeah. We've had this discussion before, too, where it's like, yeah. I hang out with you all day. We literally, mm-hmm. we work together. Obviously, mm-hmm. we run a business together. And then sometimes when Caboose is all like, oh, we should hang out. I'm like, you want to hang out with her? I'm hanging out with her. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, excuse you. What the fuck? What? You think she's real funny? I know she's real funny.
Mm-hmm. I've been knowing. And I think that, for a while, I've been trying to deconstruct this idea in my mind because I've been saying, like, you know, I am a jealous person, especially when it comes to, like, dating. I'm an envious person when it comes to my career, et cetera, et cetera. But I really feel like everyone experiences jealousy and envy. And if you say that you're not, you are probably lying and probably burying it deep down.
I think it comes down to the same as people that say we don't fight, whereas conflict is a great thing. Conflict mm-hmm. leads to resolution.
100%.
So I think that the people that are like, oh, hey, I'm not jealous, are not being in tune with themselves.
Right.
And just burying that, kind of like the same people that are like, oh, I never get mad. Like, oh, boo, that's a problem.
Oh, absolutely.
You should experience all emotions. And so if you don't have that, and there are ways to express it that are mm-hmm. great, mm-hmm. the same as like that feeling of envy is what can catapult you into something good in your career. It's that whole imposter syndrome can be a great thing. And that's how a lot of us have that desire to improve. The same as like envy can give you that push and desire to improve, to be like, I want what they have over there. Cool. What steps do I need to take to get that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love the way that you just said that because I really struggle with envy. And I also we're just gonna, before I get into that, talk about the whole emotion things. Human beings are feeling creatures, so you should be feeling
or feeling robots in your instance.
I would love to be a robot. We've talked about it before. It'd be easier, but
you're a feeling robot.
I have feelings. I have really big feelings, and I saw this meme that was really cute, and it was all like, "You're very emotional," and they're talking to a bug, and the bug goes, "Thank you. I worked really long and hard on that," and I love that because I feel like that bug. You know, I worked really hard to be emotional and be in tune with my feelings and let myself feel them. And that's why I'm so passionate about like talking about what seems to be kind of a taboo subject. Especially, I shouldn't say especially, regardless of who you are, what career you're in, when it comes to envy, I really struggle with a lot of envy in my career. Mostly to do with the fact that like I grew up in the era of like, since I was a kid, I've been on social media. That's like all I've known, you know, for most of my life, I've known social media and how you're perceived on social media, especially being raised by it. Your success and your self-worth plays into a lot of how well you're performing on social media, which is so, so sad. And that's where a lot of the root of my envy comes from, is the fact that I see like really popular tattoo artists on social media and I start to get in my head and I'm like, am I even good at what I do? Like my shit doesn't even touch their posts. Like I get like what, maybe 50 likes per post. And like I get into this rabbit hole of like, I'm just feeling so envious. I wish I had that. Like I wish I had more recognition, X, Y, and Z. But then I meet with my clients and I feel the opposite. I feel so loved and I feel so seen. And like we do shop events and I feel like I am at the pinnacle of my success right now. I feel successful when I'm with these people, but when I'm online, it's the opposite. And so I don't know, I kind of wanted to open up the platform and just be honest with you guys and let y'all know what I'm trying to do regarding that. Because like I said, I went to therapy and we talked about it quite a bit. And we talked about how can we channel these feelings of like envy and jealousy and turn them into positive things, you know? So I'm envious of X, Y, and Z. How do I take that and, like you said, strive to be better? Yeah. You know, find a way to carve my own path that still aligns with my moral values and still aligns with who I am. Yet I am still treading that line of like, I feel successful and I don't need that outward validation to drag me down.
Well, and to be completely clear, we are social creatures. So I think that like, acknowledging the fact that there's always going to be a desire for outward validation is just a part of it. Like I think that that's an important part of like healing, that letting go of external validation is that you're always going to desire it, you're always going to need it, because we are communal creatures. We needed each other to survive. Yes. And so we can say, okay, let me not put as much pressure on that. Right. But if you then said, and the reason I'm bringing this up, because I'm not saying you're doing this. Oh, no, totally. Is that so many people will then say, okay, well, I don't need that whatsoever. But when you cut that out, you end up cutting out other connections. Totally. Because you can't just say, hey, I don't need any other validation from anyone without then saying, I don't need it from my friends, from my family. I'm not going to run the risk of having new relationships because that could be seen as like validation seeking. Yeah. So I think that like it is important to acknowledge that we are social creatures. We need that. And though it's kind of like how I like to think about validation is like, social media isn't my primary form of validation. But when I get like, okay, fucking got 3 likes on a post on a tattoo that I work super hard, it still hurts. And I have room for that. Oh my God. That pain of the fact that like, hey, that feels like rejection. But like you said, that's when I come into those places of like, but in my life, I know that you love me wholly. I know Caboose loves me wholly. I know that like my pod loves me and like the people in my life and my clients appreciate me. And I think about with that whole, okay, so I got 50 likes on something. Will you throw all 50 people like that in a room? First off, every event we've done, we've had more than 50 people in a room. So we have all these people there and you're like, but I know that what we share together is special. Absolutely. 100%. And that's where I think like you said, I like the way that you put it. There's no completely getting rid of those feelings. It's important to realize that like processing those feelings is
so that's like the point of having feelings, honestly.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
The reason why you're feeling feelings is it's your brain telling you that something's happening and for you to fully embrace it and just surrender to that. And I love the way that you put it, because you're right. Like there's no way for me to erase that hurt, but there is a way for me to make room for that hurt.
Yes.
And be like, you know what, that's okay. And time to, kind of go off on a different angle here.
Yeah.
I want to ask you, when you're feeling jealous or envious, how does it present to you in your body? Like, how does it feel?
I would say for me, it feels like a tightness in my chest. It's a very like visceral reaction where it feels like I guess it's like the step right before panic.
Yeah.
Where it's that like something like heavy is weighing there and compressing. And that's where like I will sit into it or in it to a certain extent, where then I'll be like, okay, I get a little less jealous of like stuff online just because that world is removed for me. More in the sense that like I wasn't raised in it, so it doesn't feel real. Like it's never been like, I understand it's a tool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel real to me in the same sense that like it does for you.
Absolutely.
For me, that's why like a card means more than if someone left a comment. That like tangible world is the one that like matters. So if I walked into a room and they all laughed, which I've had those instances before in my life, that is a lot more long lasting for me than if I like bomb on a post or if someone like says something nasty about me on the internet. That being said, I also have precautions in place.
Yeah.
So I'll fucking...
Yeah, and
I don't read comments. I don't do any of that. I don't participate in that world because I know that the moment I allow myself to fully be in that world, then I'm fucked.
Pandora's box.
Yeah,
right? Like there's no closing it.
Yeah.
For me, when I feel jealousy, it almost feels like I'm ingesting poison. And it feels like
it burns?
Yeah, burns. Oh, it burns. And my secondary emotion connected with jealousy and envy is always anger. So I go to a place, like I'm so uncomfortable with the jealousy that I get angry, which is hard because I don't anger, we've talked about this, is not typically my secondary emotion. It's not typically the first one that I go to branch off into.
Where is that anger? Like, what does it feel like in your body?
The anger, like that's the forest fire part. So the jealousy feels like I drank something that is starting a burning, and then the anger feels like a fire in my chest, where it gets like warm, and then I get mad. Where does
that madness go? Like, where do we? Is it external? Are we mad at ourselves? Are we mad at the world?
Oh, it's external for sure.
We're mad at that other person.
I'm mad at the system, and I'm mad at the person. For the most part, like
that's really healthy.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm mostly mad at the system.
Yeah.
Because me and my therapist talked about it, and she was like, just give me an example. And she was just like, well, some of that is also privilege. Like, do you acknowledge that, like, the system is kind of rigged against you? You are a woman of color. You're queer. You're neurodivergent. It's hard for you. But truly, like, can you also take a step back and realize that, like, this is not, although it has a lot to do with you, it is not your fault. It's not it's not you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where it all drains into. And it's so uncomfortable. It's one of the more uncomfortable feelings for me, being envious or jealous. But again, I really like to embrace what Esther says. In a way, you can make it healthy. And we are meant to feel things.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a bad feeling. We're very big on that too. Process it, see how you can get through it. But I wanted to also ask you, how do you cope with like jealousy or envy?
So I would say the secondary emotion that comes up for me for both jealousy and envy tend to be fear is the primary driver. Because I am at a stage in my life where I'm very happy with who I am. So when I am feeling jealous, it's typically, I would say, mostly around like you or Caboose. So like, yeah, if you guys are laughing, then I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it's that fear of like, what, are you being excluded? So it very much taps into that childhood fear of like, you're not good enough.
Yeah. And the wound of like,
and
you're going to be alone.
Yeah,
and,
that like they're going to leave you. They don't want to be here for you. They only want to be here for each other. That whole thing. And like I'll have those moments when you're like really vibing with a client that little voice will come up and I'm like, excuse me.
Excuse me.
And it's interesting now that I say that out loud because I never talk in those moments. I'm very quiet in those moments because I'm very much like, okay, let's sit with like when I envision the like inner child work, it's like little 4-year-old me or really 3-year-old me that had my heart broken by Michael.
We're outing people.
Yeah. But my first boyfriend who didn't know he was my boyfriend.
And you were 3 years old, right?
I was 3 years old.
Yep.
But it's that it touches that wound of like, oh no, you've misunderstood this whole situation. The wool has been pulled over your eyes. This is not your best friend. This whole thing's an illusion. You're actually just sitting by yourself all alone in your room. And so then I get really quiet and I just have to like sit with her and be like, hey, what do we need in this moment?
Right,
like,
absolutely.
let me just sit with love. And then I can usually just be like, I know that you're scared that none of it's real, but it is real. And that's when I like tap into gratitude. So for me, it's really coming into that place of gratitude. And then when it comes to like that as well, it's also that moment of sitting in how happy I am that I have people in my life to be jealous over.
Totally.
Because I'm not trying to out people, but there have been points in my life where I have not felt that way about people.
Yeah, totally.
And have been like, for the love of God, please take them. Yeah. Yep. And so to be in a place where I work with my best friend and still feel like I don't get enough time with my best friend, that to me is a really exciting place to be because then I get to like really sit in that like joy of like, how cool is it that you have people in your life that you, even when they're having a good time together and you know that that's what you want, you can still get jealous because you can hear them having a good time without you.
Yes.
And also that's everything you've ever wanted. So like, that's what makes it scary.
Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to put it. Cause I still struggle with coping with it. I think I really do. I just kind of go in circles. I chase the rabbit a lot of the times.
Yeah, I think it got to a point where that rabbit comes up and I say, hi, I love you. I'm really
like the
grateful
gratitude
you're
spin.
here. Yeah.
It's a great spin, the whole gratitude thing. Because I feel like, gratitude is a solution for many things, I feel like.
Well, I think it's about giving space. Like you're allowed to sit in it and then you just don't wallow in it.
And yeah, it's also about like taking stock too, being realistic and being like, okay, because when you're talking to your inner child, it is, for me, depending on how crazy the emotion is, I say crazy, but like how visceral it is and how like effective it is, it can be really hard to talk to my inner child because she just needs to throw a tantrum, and that's also totally fine. Give space, do your thing. But yeah, I get to a point where I'm almost like chasing the rabbit constantly and I like can't stop. It gets really neurotic, and it's like just scratching, it's like ripping off a scab over and over and over again, and it's not going to heal right. But I really do think that like taking stock, is the best way for me to like kind of just be like, okay, so we felt it a lot and now we're kind of just making the wound worse. How do we stop these like very neurotic habits of like consistently just putting salt in the wound,
Yeah, I think that gets easier with time because definitely when I was younger, I would continue to like poke that wound a lot more. And I won't necessarily say that it's because I liked the pain, but it's because at that point I mistook love for pain.
Yeah.
So I thought that in feeling those like big painful emotions, that was proving my love. Whereas now I don't have to like prove that I love things. I'm allowed to just feel. Like, so now when that bunny comes and is like, yo, I'm going to fucking run fucking circles around your mind. I'm like, hey, I know that you're here to like remind me to take stock in these moments. That like you have been hurt in the past and that it is vulnerable to love people. So therefore, like, I mean, there's still times that I look at you that I'm like, oh my God, one day she's going to get married and live in her own house. And that makes me so sad. And even though you know, there's a good chance that if life goes the way that like I picture it, we'll have a business together for the rest of our lives. There's still the like, oh my God, like we won't live in the same house, which means it won't be as easy to see you whenever the fuck I want.
Totally.
And that's something that I already get like jealous of your future spouse. But that's when I have to take stock in the fact of like, hey, you're not living in the present when you're doing that.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the other thing that happens with like a lot of jealousy and envy is that like, are you living in your head or are you living in the now?
Right. Oh my gosh, 100%. Because I try to take stock every time. I shouldn't say every time, but if I'm feeling like, oh my God, I just need extra alone time. And I'm like, oh God, here we go. Because we've all had those moments where you come home and you don't want to see your roommate.
No,
like, fuck.
I try my best that when I'm like, okay, this bitch has had a day. I'm like, babe, get up to the bedroom. You and I are fucking watching a movie. The whole reason there's a TV up there is I was like, so that way, like, there are days when I'm like, that bitch is done. She is toasted. I have left before her, so therefore I need to fucking like get him upstairs. Be like, you're in your office. I'm in the bedroom. Let her come home to a peaceful fucking house.
I appreciate that, but every time I do get to that point, though, I'm still just like, you know, one of these days, like you're gonna look back at this and be like, these are the glory days. You know what I mean? And that's how everyone puts it. But you're living in the glory days right here and now, so you might as well just.
I think that is true, though, because like I would have thought that before. I would have looked at my life and been like, oh my God, in my 20s, I'm like, this is the best fucking thing ever. And now it's like, okay, I was fucking doing aerobics in front of the TV. You're sculpting. Caboose was doing, I don't know what the fuck he was doing in the kitchen.
I don't know. He was doing something. I don't think he was cooking.
No, I think he was doing like science.
Yeah, something.
He's doing building. Oh, he's playing video games. Okay. That's what he was doing. Yeah. And I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. Like, nobody was like, yo, your life is going to still be you being ridiculously silly on a Saturday night, deliriously tired, hanging out with your fucking best friend and your husband playing video games.
Absolutely. Well, on the topic of like coping with jealousy, I have seen some people cope with jealousy, and it's so hard using like really broad terms for this, but like wrong ways to cope with jealousy. And one of them is I see a lot of like discouragement coming when people feel jealous or like envious, I should say envious. I've had the instance of someone trying to discourage me from bettering myself because they were envious. And that's just one of the examples that really sticks out in my mind, because at the time I just really didn't understand it. I was like, what an outlandish thing to do to someone. You know what I mean? Like, how could you... Like, I can't picture myself doing it, but I know that, like, when I was younger, absolutely, I would probably have done the same thing. But it also comes from the fact of, like, it is such an uncomfortable emotion that a lot of the times people will do anything to get out of it. Yeah. Right? Or they'll pick fights in relationships because they're feeling jealous.
That was me.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was me, too. I mean, we're all guilty of it at some point. And it's one of those things that, like, how do we, I guess, evade those things and just take stock of like, okay, how do I react to jealousy? What are the things that I run to the most? Because I, again, don't think any feeling is a bad feeling. I just think that the way that we react to them can present in not great ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that jealousy and envy is normal, especially when it comes to career stuff. Because I'm married to my career, and I was just telling Lou this, I am over people telling me that that's a bad thing. I deserve to be married to my career. If that's what I want to do with my life, and if that's what makes me happy, then, I mean, good for me, right?
Yeah, I think it's probably honestly because it goes against that narrative of, like, that we've been sold since the 50s of, like, the housewife, where it's like, no, your purpose as a woman is to rear children and to be attached to a man. And to be clear, that messaging didn't come in until like McCarthyism, like putting women back in the kitchen, that whole concept. So 1950s. So even though we are taught that has been like that throughout history, it has not. That is very new ideology, but it's that a lot of history books have been revised and parts have been taken out. So that way you get this like capitalistic, like wash over history.
Totally. And I think it's hard because when you put yourself out there and you're a woman as well, just super into your career, the envy will come. Again, the system is honestly kind of rigged against you. I say kind of, it is. And it makes it extra painful for me because I can be envious about what people are wearing or what people have, like how they look, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to my career, it's an extra special kind of wound. Because my career, I'm married to it. It's my life. It's the love of my life. I love tattooing. And that is where I have trouble navigating still. But I appreciate the fact that it will get easier. I think the more life experience I have too, the more people that I meet, the more like patterns that I see, I think the easier it'll get. Because again, I have to keep in this place of reminding myself that like, this is a Michelle Obama quote, success isn't like what you have or what you do. It's how you're feeling about your life.
Oh, right? I love that.
And I feel successful. And so just trying to keep reeling back into that.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, yes, people might have it all online, but also you can buy bots like easy. It's so easy to buy followers.
I think that's the problem I have with the whole online like fame thing is that to me, I understand, once again, there's privilege and security in money. And when it comes to followers online, that is directly connected with the same concept of money and like wealth. Like internet wealth can produce actual life wealth. So I understand that. But to me, it feels the same where it's like, okay, but my 2,000 followers that I have are real people that have taken the time out of their life to come and follow me, and people choose to participate. And so even though I might, and I see it very much as like same as my money is the money that I have earned, and has not been, I don't have generational wealth being passed down. So it's what we are doing to me is more tangible than where it's like, cool, you might have 30,000. And sure, maybe you didn't buy them. Maybe they're genuine and that's awesome for you. But so many people that I see in that position that I meet that are real people are putting on that facade to get those like views and follows and likes that when you meet them, you're like, wow, like you're sad though. And I don't mean like they are like a sad existence, but like you can feel that like desire to be truly seen like on them, and it makes me sad for them.
Absolutely.
That I'm like, yeah, on the internet you are perceived as successful, but when I see you in person, you're like a really sad little insecure like mess, and it just makes me want to hug them to be like, but if I don't know that people wouldn't trade to be like, yo, do you want 2,000 followers and like a shit ton of like amazing clients that see you for who you really are, and friendships that make you feel like that your life couldn't get any better.
Yeah.
And you're not thinking about because when I'm with you or with other people, I'm not like, oh my gosh, what will people on social media think?
Oh, never. And it's so beautiful. Like my brain's completely shut off from that when I'm like at our events too, you know, like where we're surrounded by our clients who like truly care about us, and they care not only about us as individuals, but us as a team and us as a shop. And they are like rooting for us. It's not even a thought in my mind.
Yeah.
And I think I'd much rather have that like face-to-face human connection than I would have like 30 plus, you know, 1,000 followers. And it is hard because, you know, you keep reminding me, it is all facade. I mean, at any point in time, like it was funny, all of the Meta platforms got shut down a couple of days ago. And a bunch of tattooers, once Instagram, like, you know, went live again, was just like, oh, thank God, you know, like I had a moment of thinking like, thank God I know how to operate without using Instagram, and I still can like market myself. And this is not the only platform that I would like, that I'm like, you know, attaching my career to. I know how to do this. We know how to market. We know how to X, Y, and Z without it. But it was a really good like palate cleanser for a lot of tattoo artists of being like, oh shit, like I think we all got caught up in like, yes, it's important to display your artwork and to market yourself via social media, but it can be taken away at any point in time.
Yeah.
At any point in time, that all could go away. So what do you have left when all of it's gone? You know, and that should also help with the envy. So,
well, and I think that's the thing is that like when you feel those envious moments, like, it is that coming back to like, but what is success to me? Because like success to me is not having, you know, $150,000 in the bank. Like that's not success. And I think that's also probably why I don't get as like envious over social media, is because I never looked at my life and said, you're going to have 200 grand in the bank account.
Totally.
And you're going to have 1 million followers. That's never been like on my radar of success. My idea of success is that when I die, people will be like, holy shit, they were hilarious and they loved knowledge and they taught things.
Absolutely.
And like, that's it. That like, I want people to remember that humor is important and that I love teaching.
I fucking love that.
And I don't care like what I'm teaching per se, as long as it's accurate. Obviously, that matters. I'm not trying to disseminate misinformation. But that like, I guess for me, it's more so the thought of that no one's like, oh, like she hoarded knowledge.
Yeah.
But it was like, no, if she knew something, she was more than happy to just like give it to you.
Absolutely.
And like that to me is what success is. And so like with everything that we do with the business, because it's going in that where it's you teaching and me teaching and us taking that time to cultivate real relationships with clients, that to me already feels like success. So then the bank account is just like, cool, whatever. The social media is just a tool to get that out there, but it's not
end all be all.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be your world.
Yeah,
Totally.
my world is these conversations, the like hearing back from people when they hear the podcast or they come in the shop and they're like, oh yeah, I learned this or I learned that, and then them being able to share their knowledge with us, like cultivating that environment is what success is to me.
Absolutely.
Which I think is why like I'm like, fuck it. The numbers don't matter, because what actually matters, because no one's gonna fucking remember. I'm sorry, not no one. Nobody that I deem important in my life gives a fuck about my bank account or my social media following.
Absolutely.
And if that's like how you judge me, then I already know that you're not one of my people.
No, 100%.
And so like for me, it's that like, that's not where I'm going to get jealous. I'm going to get jealous over people's like ability, like their talent. Just because I'm like, damn it, I would love to spend more time on that, but my brain doesn't work like that. My brain wants to just be consuming brand new stuff and not refining my own skills.
Oh, totally. Is he gonna come in?
Yeah, no, he shouldn't be home yet.
Okay. I don't know why. So I thought DJ Boozy was about to come home just now. If he is, then we can cut this out. But if not, we're all good.
No.
No.
I think you're good. I'm checking the ring camera. Keep talking to people.
Okay. So as far as success goes, I think that's beautiful. I think for me, like, this is a great segue. I told you he's home.
He is home. That's fine.
Oh, is he just gonna come in?
Yeah, he's
Gonna be on the podcast. Welcome home. We're recording. Do you want to say hi to people? Oh my God! Why?
Yep. There you go.
Oh goodness, I want to say hi to you. As far as success goes, I love how you worded that, because for me, success, I know that I'll reach true success when I can take care of myself, when I know when to stop working, when I stop feeling guilty over not working. Of course, there's still going to be moments, but success is a huge part of success for me too, is building a life with chosen family of people who see me for me. And what?
Okay,
Why are you concerned? Why are you giving me that face?
Because you said, I know that I will be successful when, and then everything you just described is what you're currently doing.
Thank
so can
you.
I get a tiny reframe of you are successful?
I know I am successful because I do these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. My bad. I tried to downplay it.
You have built your chosen family.
I did.
You just told me earlier about how you're not feeling upset with yourself for resting.
Yes. Whereas a year ago, I would have been like, just dragging myself over the coals.
You are successful.
Yes.
And you have a business that's successful.
I have a business that, like, it's crazy because within taking care of ourselves, our clients are responding so well to that. And they also, like, lean into that. They lean in further. It's so
I had
beautiful.
to cancel an appointment today because our roof leaked and there was a repairman there. And then that took way longer. And there's still this, like, guilt shame that comes in with like canceling, where I'm like, oh no, this person's going to be pissed.
Totally.
And every client that we've had to reschedule because of like the roof or because we have meetings coming up with City Hall has always been like, since we've opened, have just been like, yeah, absolutely. I'm so sorry you guys are dealing with this.
Totally.
And it's met with so much love and kindness and compassion that I'm like, what the fuck? I'm so used to being in trouble.
On? Totally.
And everyone's like, nah, dog. You're not supposed to be, which is amazing because that's how I feel about other people. If someone's like, hey, I have to cancel, I'm like, okay, are you okay though? Mm-hmm. And to be met with that back is like, yeah, that's true success for me in the business sense, is that like clients aren't like, I expect you to be a fucking robot and just do my tattoos. Instead, they're like, no, I want you to be happy.
Absolutely. I want to see you succeed. And like, it's, I don't know. That's a great way to, good little tool to use when I start getting envious or jealous, but again, it's a very natural. I'm just gonna make you
stand in the power position and then tell me why you're successful.
I love that. It's so weird. Just all right. Let me present why I'm successsul. Well, I think that's all I have for jealousy and envy. Do you have anything for jealousy and envy? Okay, great.
They're good for you.
They're good for you.
They make you appreciate your life,
yes,
your friends, your spouses, all of it.
Every feeling you feel is an opportunity to delve into that and take stock of what you need to do and also process. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Your win for this week. Do you have another win?
Wait, I think I went first last time. Oh, no, you went first last time. Fuck. My win for the week is I'm about to get high.
Hey,
for the second time today. Yeah.
Yes. I fucking love that. My win for the week is I'm going to do my makeup just because I feel like it.
And you gave yourself bangs, and they're so cute.
I did at 1 a.m.
Yeah. They look amazing.
Thank you.
I love them.
All right, you guys. I love you bunches.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye, 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 bye.